whenever I call it analysis, and I'm not trying to be lofty or pretentious, but whenever any of my commentary made it into the subject, like when Alex Jones started picking up on it, that's like, okay, now you feel not recognized, but valorized might be the good word for something that is value added. But it started, the YouTube channel back in the day was just random cooking, family stuff. I was sort of aspiring to replicate Casey Neistat. I don't know if you know who he is. Casey Neistat is the New York guy, did a vlog every day. Editing was beautiful, told stories. It's fun stuff. But then I would do like a day in the life of a lawyer because I was still practicing. And then people would be like, that's cool, do more of this. And so I'd prep a witness, prepping for a trial. Then I did the breakdown of the deposition in Alex Jones' Sandy Hook deposition.
That was 2018.
And you know, the headlines at the time, I don't know if you remember this, it was Alex Jones admits to suffering from psychosis. And then they play that 10-second clip. Well, I was sort of going through a form of psychosis back then.
That's a pretty good impression.
Yeah, I've talked with him a lot. So, and I was like, okay, that's weird. I just want to go watch the deposition. It was 3.5 hours long. And I watched the deposition. I'm like, Alex Jones didn't look bad in this deposition at all. The lawyers looked like a bunch of hacks in this. Not Robert Barnes, his lawyer, the examining lawyer. So I went through this 3.5 hour deposition. I did a 20-minute breakdown of just the highlights to say, here's why the lawyer does not splice together exhibits for a deposition, because you don't make evidence as a lawyer, you adduce evidence. So I did this analysis. It started going viral on YouTube. Then they took it down. Or they demonetized it, then they took it down. Is it
up now?
It was reestablished. They took it down and they gave me a strike for hate speech. And like, A, nothing in the deposition was hate speech. B, nothing in my analysis was hate speech. That's when I discovered censorship on YouTube.
This is 2018.
2018.
The world has changed a lot since then.
And my knowledge of the world has changed a lot since then.
So you did an analysis, and if we can pull that up as well. This is to pull
on the roof of my house.
The Alex Jones. This is regarding the case involving Sandy Hook.
Last week, someone had asked me what I thought of the attorney's conduct in the deposition of Alex Jones. For those of you who don't know, Alex Jones is being sued by 6 parents from the Sandy Hook shooting for defamation. In the months and years following that shooting, Alex Jones promoted a number of absolutely unsupportable conspiracy theories.
Pause. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. You've got no hair and no beard. Is that the same human being?
This is me on the roof of my house in Westmount, Montreal, or Westmount, Quebec. Clean shaven. I've vowed after this one never to do vlogs in sunglasses again, because I like, you need to see the eyes of somebody. But yeah, so I did on the roof of my house. This was before we redid it. So
this is impromptu.
Yeah, well, I had cut the clips and then I just talked to a camera.
Let's play 30 seconds of this.
In the months and years following that shooting, Alex Jones promoted a number of absolutely unsupportable conspiracy theories. First and foremost was that the parents were actually crisis actors. 6 of the parents are suing Alex Jones for defamation, alleging that as a result of the conspiracy theories that Alex Jones promoted, in addition to causing them anguish and pain that you can't possibly imagine, other people started harassing them, believing Alex Jones's conspiracy theories that they were actually crisis actors. Now, I am only certified to practice law in Quebec, and the Quebec law on defamation is a little different than the US law on defamation. I did a video on this previously, which I'll post the link to now. In the United States, in order to succeed on a claim of defamation, you have to prove that the statements that were made were false, that they were done maliciously with the intent to harm or out of negligence, and that harm was in fact suffered. In Quebec, we have a bit of a nuance in that the statements don't actually have to be false in order to constitute defamation. The statements can be in fact true, but if they are uttered for the purposes of causing harm, it can still constitute defamation under our civil liability system. And in virtue of the freedom of the press generally benefits from a higher threshold of what they are allowed to publish, and the threshold is a little bit higher when it relates to celebrities who live in the public.
So you're it's pretty impressive, by the way. Are you reading from a script?
No, I've never scripted. I cannot script.
That's pretty incredible.
I edit out some of the hemming and hawing in between the sentences, and if I get something wrong, but no, I can't script on paper because it doesn't come out naturally, and it doesn't flow the.
But you're citing the elements of the defamation law in the United States and Quebec without skipping a beat.
No, I mean it's they're similar. And when you
is it true in Quebec? You can. I heard you say that
it can be true
if you're intending to harm somebody.
Correct. There's one decision where they disclosed I think in other states it might be more analogous to public disclosure of a private fact type thing, but Quebec is a unique province in Canada, and it has some unique case law.
And it's some sort of original English law that the greater the harm, the greater the liable. And I've seen that as a through line through the work that I've done throughout my life. Is that it's almost like there's a great line from The Insider where Al Pacino says, "The more true it gets, the worse it gets." I'm paraphrasing, but it's not that the stuff is false; it's that it's true, and the more true it is, the worse it is. It's kind of non-American jurisprudence tends to approach libel that way, right?
I mean, I don't. From a legal perspective, no, still has to be, generally speaking, false. But from a political perspective, true. It's like the lies are not what do the damage. It's the truth that does the damage.
Yes.
And so like that's why I say like people can lie about me. No one's going to believe some of the lies. And even from a human emotional perspective, someone lies about you, who gives a sweet bugger all? It's when they say something that you feel to be true that you genuinely take the offense and sort of lash back out.
We're standing up to the powers that tried to discredit us, silence us, smear us, raid us, and throw us in jail. They've awakened a sleeping giant. We're building a movement of transparency and accountability in both the public and private sectors because we run from nothing. We hide from nothing. And when you join and get your full access pass, you fuel a movement for truth. We are the media now.
But no, so like that was it. That was the first one. I did analysis. It got taken down. I discovered all of the censorship on YouTube. I had friends and family saying at the time, "Don't touch anything Alex Jones." I had no idea. He was the biggest boogeyman in Canada throughout the world back then. And I said, no, I'm doing it. I'm not going to be scared of talking about a subject because people don't like the guy. But I discovered YouTube censorship. I also just found my niche to the extent that I could.
What did they censor you over?
Well, they took it down and gave me a strike for hate speech. Nothing. He didn't even talk about.
I'm just trying to understand where they're coming from.
It's the opaqueness is the feature, not the bug. I never got an explanation.
The opaqueness is the feature.
Yeah, like
but you're just explaining what the law is, right?
Not even that. It's not even as though the video contained the video sections of the deposition contained any inflammatory, offensive, or even graphic descriptions. It was just, defamation. And then I started fighting with YouTube about it at the time. Ultimately, it came back and it was remonetized. But you realize, like I said, someone's going to go to YouTube and see that I've had a video taken down for violating the terms of service as relates to hate speech. Maybe these days, people could say my tweets are a little bit more offensive than anything I did back in 2018. But like, that's defamatory by implication. To take down a video of mine and say hate speech on YouTube, at the time I was making an effort to be polite. Now I've sort of given up on that, but truth over politeness every day of the week. But that's how I discovered it. Found my niche back in 2018. What they call the LawTube didn't really exist. LawTube. There was Legal Eagle. I
don't know any. I'm not familiar with any. Are there any others like you?
Oh gosh, there's a lot. There's let's say Robert Gouveia, Nick Rekieta, Joe Neerman, Good Logic.
So Rekieta, okay, forgive me, I forgot Nick. He does some incredible work.
Yeah, I mean, set aside, he's had personal issues that he's dealing with, which he is going to overcome and touch wood, come back stronger than before. But no, Nick Rekieta, Nate Brody, there's a lot of them.
We have on the screen here.
Legal Bites.
This is from you. What date is this, guys? Scroll down so I can see the date.
Oh yeah, this is.
Let's see the date. It's July 7th. This is somewhat recently.
Oh no, I keep giving. I won't stop picking at the soft censorship on YouTube, but now I'm down with Rumble exclusively.
They're deliberately opaque. That's very true. They are deliberately opaque.
And they don't. You can't get humans on.
No,
you can't get a human explanation. There's no. There's just certain subjects that are off limits for some people.
It's Kafkaesque. There's no individual that's responsible. It's just it's like It's like just a bot.
It's even worse. It's clear what they're doing because it's off limits for some people. NBC, CBS, ABC, 60 Minutes plays the exact same clip. They're fully monetized with like premium ads. So it's only they do not want some people speaking about certain issues. Alex Jones was one because if anybody ever found out and understood truly what a judicial injustice Alex Jones went through, they might not think. They might realize that he isn't actually.
What is the greatest for those who are not familiar? What was the greatest example of injustice in that case involving Alex Jones?
That he never had a trial. And people think he had a trial. He was defaulted into a liability finding in both Connecticut and Texas. There was never a trial on the merits as to the defamation or the intentional infliction of emotional distress, so they never even got to some legal questions, statute of limitations. They never got to legal questions.
Was it summary judgment, or how did they get?
No. He was defaulted into a verdict, a liability finding. The judge said in Connecticut, then they piggybacked off that in Texas. They said he's so defaulted on his discovery obligations that you don't need to have a trial. Liability, and appreciate this. I say like in Canada, Quebec, having your lawsuit dismissed or tossed on a procedural basis, they say that it's sort of like the nuclear weapon of legal remedies. Like you get your day in court, period. They could have defaulted him where he said you can't defend, but the plaintiff still has to prove their case. Plaintiffs never proved their case. They never got over certain of the legal hurdles, statute of limitations, actual malice for a journalist.
Well, actual malice is something, it's like you have to, and what I found in my case against the New York Times, which is something else you covered, was that it's hard to prove mens rea or intent in the minds of the defendant if you can't go through discovery with them. So it's kind of a catch-22. You're supposed to file a motion trying to prove things that you can't yet prove in this getting around the hurdle of motion to dismiss. I'm talking about if you're the plaintiff.
True. And then one thing that I've learned, in covering legal stuff in the States is motions to dismiss in the States are granted, as far as I'm concerned, surprisingly often. In Quebec, you never get a motion dismissed because you have to get your day in court. Like whether or not it's flimsy, it'll come out in court.
What about when is there loser pay in Quebec?
Not in Quebec, no. In Ontario, and I'm a civil law.
So it's tough for a defendant then.
Oh, it's tough for a defendant because you get sued, you're being dragged into it, and it's virtually impossible to get it dismissed at a preliminary stage.
How about the legal cost in Quebec versus the United States?
I mean, everything's cheaper in Quebec, but everything's cheaper in terms of legal costs, but it's still an arm and a leg. Awards are much less in Quebec as well. So, but no, I think your audience will probably appreciate it, but it's not even that they said, Alex Jones, you don't get to defend. You got to sit there in court with a smile on your face, and they got to present their evidence. The judge defaulted the plaintiffs into liability. Alex Jones into liability vis-a-vis the plaintiffs. The only trial they had in Texas was on how much Alex Jones was going to pay. And even then, they prevented him from saying he was innocent. They prevented him from saying that he was that he had apologized, that he had retracted. They forbade him from saying. So the entire thing was a show trial to the point of literal show trial. They had cameras in the courtroom documenting this for a documentary series that I think the judge attended the premiere of. And so I discovered all that very slowly. But back in 2018, LawTube, there were only 3, maybe 4 of us. It's blossomed into something amazing.
I shouldn't have trusted these guys, but I did trust these guys.
A lot of people thought there was malfeasance. I would prefer to say ignorant of those events. I didn't want to know.
Nonprofit boards of directors can be very, very dangerous.
Fortunately, I have recordings and documents to back up everything I'm about to tell you.
Employees were starting to bundle up and talk.
If we're about to paint James as a criminal, it better be fucking good.
They sent a pic of me nailed to a cross.
They used these kids. Matt used them to further his agenda.
The reason why James was bad was morphing.
I never lived this lifestyle with black cards.
He's a mean boss.
Stress with his girlfriend is not appropriate.
I don't know that James has a private life.
James took a pregnant woman's sandwich. And these are people that we thought were people with integrity.
Who on the board is in control?
Turns out board members are taking money from donors.
How much did you invest in each of Matt Tierman's companies?
I don't think that's any of your business.
We're at the pinnacle of Mount Everest.
Are you refusing to answer the question?
Yes.
The only thing that has changed is that we broke the biggest story in our organization's history.
If a board statement goes out, it's fucking over.
A week later, everything changed.
And it wasn't right.
It was the timing of it that was so suspicious.
Is it fair to say that 3 of the 4 companies you've invested in, you would consider to be in the medical field?
So what did the board think people were going to assume?
One of the companies could be sold to a big pharma.
Like Pfizer.
Objection.
Did the board not think that people were going to assume the worst? I want to talk about your investments.
I want to talk about you.
I'm a fighter.
You're a cheat.
I'm a warrior.
You're a liar.
And I will get my justice. Not revenge, but justice.
Is it all about money? Too bad you can't afford that.
Big difference.
How do you define conflict of interest?